The social structure of the Ayutthaya kingdom has been categorized into several groups as follows. 1. The crown was the chief of the kingdom and held the highest status in the society. He was considered as the lord of land and the lord of life. He had the prerogative as the master of the Thai feudal system to confer titles and sakdina ranks to his nobles and subjects. However, these titles could be confiscated if he saw fit. 2. Members of the Ayutthayan royal family, who were the masters and also were the king's relatives, including his sons and daughters, called as Chao Nai. They received their privileges from birth. The different royal ranks of the royal family members were called as Chao Fa, Pra Ong Chao, and Mom Chao, respectively. Each had different Sakdina ranks that corresponded to a number of rai, field. He or she was theoretically or actually entitled to. For example, Maha Uparaja was the prince of the highest rank and entitled to the Sakdina of 100,000 rai, or field. พระเจ้าลูกเธอ The title for the king's daughters was entitled to the sakdina of 15,000 rai of field. 3. Nobles or bureaucrats were those who worked for the crown and the kingdom as per the orders of the king. They got the privileges, promotions, and the sakdina ranks according to the positions that had been conferred. For example, Samuha Prakalahom, the Ministry of Defense, was entitled to the sakdina of 10,000 rai. This nobleman also earned their wealth from both the lands and the number of pride commoners under their direct control. 4. Pride refers to commoners who served under the particular 9 masters or nobles. All 18 years old male commoners had to register themselves to their masters or landlords. They would be tattooed with a number on their wrists. Their services or required duties were whether in the form of kovi, unpaid labor, military services, or contributions of cash and goods. Pride were given the sakdina ranks from 5 to 25 rai, which depended on their classifications. Pride can be divided into 2 distinct groups as follows. Pride Ruang were under the direct control of the crown. The king himself assigned them to serve with the particular ministry or department, Grom, under the ministers. The works of Pai Ruang were wide-ranging and depended on the Grom that they were assigned. Annually, they were required to serve for 6 months. They were allowed a 1-month leave for traveling back to their hometown after 1 month on duty. This system was called เข้าเดือนออกเดือน The works included construction and repairs of public places and being craftsmen in a guild of a particular department. Those who wished to remain home were required to pay cash or make contributions in sellable goods to their bosses. Those pride were called Prai Sui. Their tributes would be used and spent in the official functions or became export goods in the monopolistic trades of the royal court. Prai Som were assigned or given to the lower ranking royalties or noblemen according to the Sakdina ranks of their masters. 9. Each Praisom would be tattooed according to the specific identification number of their nine. The number of Praisom was given to each nine, determined by their status, power, and abilities. Praisom's duties were to carry out services that were ordered by their nine. Normally, two groups of pride would generally have different types of works. However, during wartime, they would be forced to join the armed forces under the command of their nine for a specific duty. Pride could be promoted to higher social status if they had done good services in their military duties. They could also apply for position after being ordained and educated. 5. Tat, slaves, did not have any rights on their own life or their choice of work. Their labor was due to their nine until the amount of money sold was paid back in full. Tat could be traded from one Nile to another. Tat held the lowest ranking Sakdina in the society and would be theoretically entitled with the Sakdina of 5 right. During the Ayutthaya, there were 7 categories of Tat as follows. Tat Sin Thai, indebted slaves, were slaves due to the urgent need of money. Some decided to sell themselves, while others were sold by their own husbands or parents. When Tat or their families got enough money to pay off the debt in full, those Tat could be liberated from the status of slaves. ทาสในเรือนเบี้ย were slaves' children so that they were born as slaves. Inherited slaves were the ones who were passed down from the deceased master to the new master of the household. ทาสท่านให้ gifted slaves were slaves who were passed from one master to another. Rescued from crime slaves were the ones who did not have enough money to pay their fine. If Naigan paid the fines for their crimes, they automatically became that Naigan's slaves. Rescued from mean slave were the ones who were starving and had to come to live with nine for a length of time and were willing to become slaves of that particular nine for their own survival. War captive slaves were the prisoners of war and then were forced to become slaves. In addition to the ruling class and ruled class, there was the Sangha community, Buddhist monks, that was highly respected by people from every class. Every monk earned many privileges. They were exempted from being a Kovi, unpaid laborers, being tattooed a set of numbers, and being a pride. Apart from Sangha, foreign traders who settled down in Ayutthaya also became a part of the Ayutthaya society. 6. Foreigners in the Ayutthaya period. The kingdom of Ayutthaya was a multinational society in which individuals from many different countries and religions peacefully lived together. Asians were people who came to trade and eventually settled down in Ayutthaya. The Ayutthayan royal court had put these traders under the royal patronage. Important Asian traders were Chinese, Indians, Arabians, Malayans, and the Japanese. Ayutthaya also had international units of armed royal guards comprising Mons, Laotians, Chinese, and Persians. Foreign traders were not required to register themselves as Kowi laborers, unpaid labor. During wartime, however, they might be required to contribute money and military manpower. Another group in Ayutthaya society was those who immigrated from the nearby kingdoms or states, or those who were rounded up after a war. Europeans were those who came as traders during the reign of Somdet Praramatipadi II and eventually settled down in the Ayutthaya kingdom. This group consisted of Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, British, and French. In addition to promoting the good foreign relationship with Ayutthaya, they had other hidden motives to trade and to spread Christianity. The three main categories of Europeans were traders, priests, and missionaries, and adventurers. European traders were welcomed because they were the important source of profits for the crown as well as the source of advanced knowledge and technologies. Ayutthayan kings allowed them to settle their residences in the southern part of the capital. They had freedom to practice their religion and to spread Christianity to Ayutthayan people. Their knowledge in advanced military and construction technologies had helped the Europeans to play significant roles in the Ayutthayan royal court, such as volunteering as military personnel in the army, working in the harbor department, and being responsible for trades on behalf of Ayutthaya. The Ayutthaya society consisted of people from many races. Therefore, it was the melting pot of many cultures, which was the main factor in the many social developments throughout the Ayutthaya period.